Hello everyone, my name is Anton Boyko and I am Microsoft Azure MVP, and today I want to talk about Azure Cross-Platform Command-Line interface. So, the Azure Cross-Platform Command-Line interface, also known as XPlot-CLI, provides a set of open-source cross-platform commands for working with Azure Platform. And also, if you are interested in source code of Azure XPlot-CLI, you can easily find it on GitHub using this link, and you can easily download it, fork it, contribute here, and so on. And today I want to talk about how we can install XPlot-CLI and connect it to our Azure subscription. Also, I will talk about basic commands and how you can obtain commands description and other help about Azure XPlot-CLI. And also, of course, I will show how you can create some simple scripts using Azure XPlot-CLI. And now, let's go to see some demos. And now I'm on my Linux workstation. And to install Azure XPlot-CLI, I need to open web browser and navigate to azure.com website. Here I should go to Downloads and scroll down. Here I have Azure CommandLine interface. I can download Windows installer, Mac installer, Linux installer. So I'm using Ubuntu right now, so I will click Linux installer. In this way, I will be able to download tar package, and I will be able to use this tar package to install Azure Cross-Platform interface. But it's the first way. How can I install it? Also, I can use another way. If I click to documentation, I will be redirected to some basic documentation about Azure Cross-Platform CLI, and here I can click on this link on the GitHub. I will navigate to GitHub. If I'll scroll down a little bit, I can see some basic documentation. I can see features of Azure Cross-Platform interface. Scroll down, and here I can see how can I install this module in a cool and fancy way using npm install global Azure CLI. Also, I need to concern about some stuff because I'm running Ubuntu. So on Ubuntu you need also to use some tricks. These tricks are described here. So basically I need to perform these three commands to install my Azure XPlot-CLI on Ubuntu. This command is quite plain, and I will not do it right now because I'm already installed my Azure Cross-Platform tool. So that's why I will open Terminal, and also I will open my text editor. I will type some commands in terminal, and in a parallel I will copy those commands to my demo01.sh script and will create this sample script file during my live demos. So basically, if I want to start working with Azure Cross-Platform CLI, I should just type Azure in my terminal. And if I'll do everything right, I will see this fancy Azure stuff, and I can see that I am using now tool version 0811. And here I have some basic helps about how can I use these commands to access all necessary resources. The first thing I need to do is I need to install, but not install, I need to connect my Azure Cross-Platform interface through my Azure subscription. And that's why I should go through account section, because in account I can find commands to manage my account information and publish settings. So I will type Azure account. And after I type Azure account, I can see a lot of commands for working with Azure account specific stuff. And I need to trigger Azure account download command because I want to launch a browser to download my publish settings file. So I will do it right now. Azure account download. Oh, sorry. Azure account download. And here I have this link, and I need to open this link in my web browser. Now I need to enter my live ID, and after I pass authentication using my live ID, I will be able to download publish profile for my subscription. Okay, now I was redirected to this site, and here I need to choose which publish profile for which subscription I want to download. Basically, I want this subscription, so I choose it and hit submit. And here I need to download publish settings file. Let's just save it locally. Okay, it was saved. Let's go back to my terminal, and now I need to import publish settings file. So that's why I will type Azure import and provide it with a file name. Azure account import and a file name downloads, and here is my file name. Enter. Okay, it was imported. Now I can type Azure accounts list, and now, as you can see, I have imported my publish profile, and now I have this training subscription with specific ID, and this training subscription is set to default. Okay, cool. So now I am installed all tools that I need, and now I am connected these tools to my cloud. So starting from this point, I'm ready to create my first Azure Cross-Platform script. So for now, I will create it in a Linux console. I will create this in a Linux script, but basically I will be able to run all these commands on another machine which supports Azure CLI. Maybe with some specific modification, but this modification will affect only parameters and naming. It will not affect Azure CLI itself. So my test scenario will look like this. First, I will create my storage account because I want to store all my VHD disk in a particular storage account. Second, I will create virtual network, and inside this virtual network, I will create my first virtual machine. Also, I will create some services during this installation, but basically the main idea is create storage account, virtual network, and virtual machine inside this virtual network, and with hard drives stored in this storage account. So let's clear this output and go to Azure VM section. Here I can see a lot of commands which I can use to manage my virtual machines. There are really a lot of commands, but the first command I need to use is Azure VM location list. So let's type Azure VM location list. In this way, I will be able to obtain a list of data centers which I can use to create my virtual machines. And as you can see, I have a lot of data centers. So let's switch to my text editor and start typing some scripts. So I will declare a variable called location, and let's choose, I don't know, South Central US. Oh, sorry. Copy, and I will paste it here. Okay, now I know which location I want to use. The next step is to create an affinity group. Why I need this affinity group? I need it because I want to give some kind of a hint to Azure Fabric Engine to put all my resources as much closer as it possible, because I want to minimize network latency and all other stuff. So that's why I will type Azure account affinity group. And as you can see, I can type list, create, show, and delete. So I need to create an affinity group, but in this short description, I do not have all required information. So that's why I can put a key H or the full name help to obtain some help about this particular command. And as you can see, I can use some additional parameters, and I will use it right now. So I will create my affinity group in location South Central US, and also I should provide some name for my affinity group. I don't know, let's call it my AVG Linux demo, something like this. Or let's just my Linux demo, and hit enter. Now I will create this affinity group. Oh, failed. Affinity group label is invalid. Oh yes, also I should provide a label for this affinity group. Not name, but also label. And I will also use my Linux demo for this label. My Linux demo. Yes, in this case, I created it successfully. And also, it's kind of a good way to demonstrate that if you will have some error, you will obtain this message from console, and all error information will be recorded to Azure.error file. Okay, so affinity group is created. Let's type it here, affinity group, and my, how we call it, Linux demo, it's the name of our affinity group. I will just store all of this value here because I will need it in a further scripts. And also I will put my command here, create affinity group, and the command is this one, copy, paste. But now let's make some modifications in this way. So in this way it will look more like a script, not just like a plain commands. And this simple line will create for us an affinity group in a specific region. Okay, affinity group is created. Now we can start create our storage account. Azure Storage. And as you can see, we also have a lot of stuff for Azure Storage, but we are interested in Azure Storage account. So we can type Azure Storage account. Okay, cool. For account, we have list, show, create. We need to use create. And let's see some help information about how we can create our storage accounts. So, what we need to do here, we need to put an affinity group name in which affinity group we want to create our storage account, and also we need to provide a name for our storage account. Let's do it. Azure Storage Account create affinity. Oh, sorry, affinity group, and our affinity group is my Linux demo. And also we need to provide a name for our storage account. Let's also type my Linux demo. I think that's all. Also we can choose, do we want to use geo-replication or not? For now, let's create a regular account in a regular way. Okay, it seems everything is fine. Let's copy this command here. Create storage account. And we will use this affinity group here, and also we will declare a new variable, storage account, and my Linux demo goes here and storage account goes here. Okay, cool. Now we have a storage account. So the next step is to create a virtual network. Azure network vnet. And for now we need to create command, and let's also see some help. This command obtains a lot of arguments, so let's try to fill all arguments that are needed in our case. Azure network create. Okay, the first thing is affinity group my Linux demo. Okay, next we need to choose an address space. Address space. Let's choose my favorite 10.0.0.0. And also we need to put this network prefix. Let's choose 8, so we will have a really wide network. Next, subnet start IP address. Let's enter the same 10.0.0.0 and subnet prefix. We will choose like 24, and we want to use the other address space, for example, for some other needs. Also, we need to put subnet name. Subnet name. And let's type something like subnet 01. Also, we can specify DNS server IP address if we need it, but for now we don't. And now we need to specify the last parameter is the name of VNet. Let's choose my Linux VNet. It's a really long command, but I think that we have put everything right. Oh no, we have a typo here. Okay, and now we are starting to create our virtual network. And I want to say several words about all these commands that we have put in our terminal, because if you mention that all these commands block our execution thread, and while virtual network creating, we can't put any other commands in this terminal. So that's why if, for example, you want to start virtual machine creating after virtual network creating, then you can be sure that when your thread execution comes to the next command, all previous commands are done and all previous resources are created. So let's copy this huge command here. Create a virtual network. And now let's put some parameters here. Affinity group goes here, and also we need to declare a lot of parameters here. So the first one is address space. Address space is equal to this one. Address space prefix 8 will go here. Address space here. Okay. Subnet address space. Subnet address space will go here, and it also 10.0.0.0. Subnet address space prefix. We will use 24 here. Put it here. Subnet name. Subnet 01. And VNet name, my Linux VNet. Okay. Yes, okay, it seems like everything is okay, and our virtual network is created. And now we need to create a cloud service. Azure service create. When we create a cloud service, we need to specify also an affinity group, and we need to specify a cloud service name. But here, as you can see, we have affinity group without dash. So in all previous commands we type affinity group with dashes, but here we have affinity group without dash. So you need to pay attention on parameters naming. My Linux demo. And also we need to provide a name for this cloud service. So let's type my cloud Linux service, something like this. Create. It will take some time. Okay, done. Let's copy it here. Create cloud service. Okay, and again some modifications. Affinity group and cloud service name. My cloud Linux service here and here. Okay, and now we are ready to create our virtual machine inside this virtual network, inside this storage account, cloud service, and so on. But before creating virtual machine, we need to do several additional steps. First, Azure VM image list, and I want to filter this list a little bit. So Ubuntu 14 one-time support, and also I want to show only second column. Enter. So one of the parameters for Azure VM create command, it's the name of image which we want to use for this virtual machine. As you can see, for Ubuntu 14 long-time support, I have several images, and now I need to choose an appropriate image for my virtual machine. I prefer to choose this one. I will copy it and I will put it here for now. Okay, and for now I think that I'm in a pretty good shape and I'm ready to create my virtual machine. Azure VM create help. Okay, so let's start. Azure VM create. I will put my cloud service name here. You can see this parameter as DNS name, but basically DNS name is the same as cloud service name. So I can type my cloud service. Oh, sorry, my cloud Linux service here. Okay, the second parameter is image name. Here is my image name. Copy and here paste. Okay, image name. Now I need to provide username and password for access this VM. So I will use Boyko as username, and for password I will type my very strong demo password. And now I need to provide several additional parameters. So in first, affinity group. Our affinity group is my Linux demo. Next, I want to open SSH on port number 22, for example. Private port will use 22 by default, but here I can put a public port. So for example, I can type here 22001, because if I will put several VMs under the same DNS name, I will need to open a new port for each VM just to get access directly to my virtual machine. Also, I need to provide VM name, and for VM name I will use, for example, Linux 01. Next, I need to provide virtual network name. As you can see here, I type all parameters name in a full specification, but also you can use this short specification. But for demo purposes, I will use the full names because it will be much more clear and much more simple to understand. So our virtual network name is my Linux VNet. And also I need to provide subnet names. Subnet names. But here I need to put only single subnet. So it's subnet 01 inside my Linux VNet. But this is not all. The last parameter I need to provide is blob URL. In this blob URL parameter, I can put the blob URL for operational system disk. And I want to put this operational system disk inside my storage account. And here I need to specify a full link to this blob storage inside my storage account. I will start from typing HTTPS. The next, I need to type my storage account name, my Linux demo. My Linux demo. Yes. Now I need to type a standard domain name, standard endpoint name like blog or windows.net. The next, I need to provide a container name. For example, I can put HDD here for hard disk drive. And here I need to provide a name for my exact VHD image. And I suggest to use virtual machine name like Linux 01-system, because it will be a system drive for this virtual machine. So quite a long command, but either way, I think that we type everything right, and we can use these commands to create our virtual machine. So let's hit enter. And also let's put this command here. So create virtual machine. Let's copy all this stuff. Oh. Copy. Let's paste it here. And now we need to do some modifications. So cloud service name goes here. Next, image name goes here. Now we need to declare some other variables. For example, username and user password. Okay. Now let's use username here and let's use user password here. Now affinity group name, oh sorry, it's this one, support for SSH here. VM name, okay, we will put VM name here. Linux 01 VM, oh sorry, VM name here. Virtual network name, we have it here. Subnet name, we have it here, and inside this blob URL we will use storage account variable here, and VM name here, but let's adjust it a little bit this way, just to make sure that everything will work fine. Okay, and now our script is ready. I will save it, and also, as you can see, here we have fully deployed our virtual machine, and also we see some warnings. For example, VM size has not been specified, so we will use default small. It's okay. And also we see a warning that affinity group will be ignored. Yes, affinity group will be ignored because here we provide VNet name, so we will use affinity group of this VNet, so we can delete this parameter from here. Okay, we will have this script, and as you can see, it's quite simple and straightforward. And for now, we can use this script to create a new environment, and we just need to adjust all these variables to use it in a new environment. So firstly, let's type Azure VM list, and for now, we will be able to see which virtual machines were created. Okay, and as you can see, we have Linux 01 here. It's in state ready role. Inside location my Linux demo, it's the name of our affinity group, and DNS name is my cloud Linux service. Okay, cool. So now let's modify our script a little bit. We will say that affinity group is my Linux demo new, storage account also my Linux demo new, address space and all this stuff will remain the same. Here we will also type new, also new goes here, and also new goes here. So I adjust my script a little bit. Why? Because I am unable to create two affinity groups with the same name, two storage account with the same name, and so on and so on and so on. So I just edit this configuration section. Let's say that this is configuration. I save it, and now I just need to type / and documents scripts demo 01 here, and I will hit enter. And as you can see now, this script is starting to create affinity group, storage account, and all other stuff. And also, as I said before, every service which are dependent on previous service will be created in a normal way, just because all these commands blocks our execution thread, our execution context. So that's why when we came to creating storage account, our affinity group is already created, and we can use it in a further script. So now we just need to wait for some time. It can take like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or something like this, and at the end we will have a brand new environment with our configuration parameter provided in this script. So for now, we can just wait. Okay, so as we can see now, everything is done. It takes even less than 5 minutes in total. So let's type Azure VM list again. And now we are able to see that we have now two virtual machines, Linux 01 and Linux 01 new, and Linux 01 new created in a brand new environment. And now let's look again a little bit closer to our script. So our script has a lot of configuration variables, but it's okay because mostly you do not need to edit them really a lot. So I use simple command to create affinity group. I use another simple command to create storage account. Creating an Azure network is a little bit harder, but really not much. I just need to provide a lot of parameters, but basically all those parameters are clear. So if you are familiar with virtual networks or with regular networking, you can easily understand for what purpose you provide these parameters. Next, I create cloud service. It's also a very simple command, and I create a virtual machine. It's also quite a plain and understandable command. It also has a lot of parameters, but basically all these parameters are explainable. And for example, if I need to create two virtual machines, I can just copy this part of my script, do it here, and I can just say that I want to their name to be equal, for example, Linux 02 or something like this. And now I will have the same script, but now I will create two virtual machines in the same cloud service. Also, I can put any command here and also, as I said, all these commands, it's very important, that's why I repeat it so many times. All commands are block our execution thread, and if we depend on the results of a previous command, we can easily use it in the next command just because this execution thread is blocked. And also I want to say that I will put this script together with this video, so you do not need to retype it again. You will be able to download it to your machine and, for example, edit it locally. And the main idea of all this demonstration is to show that you can easily use Azure Cross-Platform Command-Line tool just directly from your terminal, and you can use a lot of commands just to manage your Azure resources, and all those commands are extremely simple. They are extremely simple to use, they are extremely simple to understand, and you can start like in 10 minutes after downloading this tool to your machine. You can start creating your first Azure script. For now, that was all that I want to show you about Azure Cross-Platform Command-Line tool, and thank you for your attention.